Alright, so this is a quick tip explaining how to get motion blur on the xpOVDB mesher and xParticles using Redshift. Here in this example you can see this wave doesn't have any motion blur. The foam has motion blur currently, but this greenish colored wave does not. And we want to get it from something like this to something like this, where we're seeing a nice motion blur and the wave is blending in with the foam, giving it a much more realistic look. Just on the onset, I want to say that if there are two meshers in the scene, it seems that the motion blur in Redshift throws up an error and it won't render it, it turns it off. So just for this tip, I'm going to turn one off to make sure that it works. So in the mesher, you need to go down to your Object tab and then to Tags here, and you need to turn on Transfer Velocity. And now you can see up here there are a bunch of different tags that are for the velocity. So there's velocity X, velocity Y, and velocity Z. The next thing that you need to do is add a Redshift tag, an object tag, and then in the object tag, under the motion blur tab here, you need to turn on the motion vector and drag in your X, drag in your Y, and your Z. So those fields are filled. The next thing that you need to do is you need to open up your motion blur and make sure that deformation motion blur here is turned on. If that's not turned on, then it won't work. So the last thing that needs to be adjusted is the scale parameter, which is basically the amount of motion blur as far as I can tell. The strange thing that with this slider is that it only goes up to 2, and you're not really going to see any result, but this is one of those fields that you can jack up, and I found that around 50 was what I needed to get the type of motion blur that I wanted for this scene. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to get back to you, and if there are any errors, let me know and I will make an annotation where needs be. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope that helped.